What is going on, people? Welcome back to the Benefit podcast, bringing you everything you need to know about living your best life. And we are back. We are back at home. We're back in France. We are back post photo shoot, feeling good, looking good, and absolutely loving life. So this week's podcast is all about how to avoid that Monday restart cycle. And I know many of you are probably in that cycle. It is something that becomes around really commonly. And there's a few few things that often happen. So when it comes to that Monday restart, and you will have said this yourself, I've probably said it myself in the past too, it gets to Friday, gets to Saturday, I'll just start again on Monday, and it's dismissive of like a day, 2 days, a whole weekend. Like it can even happen, you might have one bad day on like the Tuesday. Fuck it, I might as well just start again next week. And that kind of attitude it's basically going to perpetually keep you stuck, because what is important to realize is that one bad meal, one bad day, one missed workout, they're not the be all and end all. They're certainly not a reason to quit. But if you're forever getting yourself into that habit and into that routine of saying you miss that session for whatever reason, like it could be a genuine, legitimate reason for missing it. Maybe you got caught late at work, like deadlines suddenly came in, a load of work landed on your desk. Maybe your kids got sick and you had to take them to the hospital, the doctors, or just be with them to comfort them. Like they could be really genuine reasons for missing that workout. But if you let that one missed workout become, bollocks to it, I might as well write the whole week off, that's just not helpful, is it? You're never going to reach that goal if that's the way that you approach things. Same goes with food. You might have one quote unquote bad meal. It might be that you go out for the evening, or you get caught out, again, like you've taken a certain amount of food with you, you've been really good with your prep, but then you get stuck in the office, you get stuck at hospital or the doctors or wherever it might be, and you're in this situation where it's almost a case of doing the best you can in that moment. And you might not even pick that bad a thing. But again, if you're in your head thinking, well, this is it, I might as well give up, I've missed this thing, I've had this bad day, I've had this bad meal, I might as well just start again on Monday. Before you know it, you're way behind. Like if that thing happened on a Friday night, for example, and you've written off the entire weekend, you're going to take 5 steps backward over that weekend. And you're not just then restarting on Monday, you're restarting in a far worse position. And that's not how people who get in shape, people who stay in shape, people who spend the year making progress, they don't think that way. They don't think that short term, because they know that short term mindset isn't going to get them where they want to be. That one takeaway that you might have on a Saturday night, that's not going to add 20 pounds of fat overnight. But if there's 52 weeks of the year where that thing's continuing to happen, over the course of the year, that could very easily be 20 pounds of fat that you add. And so thinking about it in that way, like one takeaway, one bad meal, one bad day, one missed workout, like in and of itself, that isn't the be all and end all. Like the missing of that workout, the bad day, the shitty food, like that isn't the thing in that very day that is going to make the difference between success or failure. It might hinder progress for that particular day. It might even hinder progress for that particular week. But just because that is going to hinder progress in the short term doesn't mean that you should write absolutely everything else off for the longer term. One of the things that I think is also really important to get into the habit of is the patterning of the response. Because again, like I've said earlier, if your response to like one slightly off-plan thing happening is basically hit the effort button and just write everything else off, potentially giving up altogether, just deciding it's not for you, nothing's worthwhile, this isn't working. If that's your approach to that one thing, which in the grand scheme of things isn't actually that important, what's that doing to everything else in your life? Like you have a bad day at work, are you just going to quit? You have a bad day with the kids, you're putting them up for adoption. Like it doesn't really make any sense. But that attitude is the thing that's not helping you. Like, we're all going to have those moments, and as I say, like, they can be legitimate or they can just be complete moments of madness. It doesn't really matter. You know, they can be as genuine as you know, work landing on your desk that deadlines need meeting, kids getting sick. They could be moments of madness where you just drive past the McDonald's on your way home and you call in completely mindlessly and scoff a large Big Mac meal. That one thing in and of itself is not going to make the difference. The difference is how you respond to that. The difference is how quickly you can just almost get angry at yourself for doing it. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, get annoyed, use that as fuel to get right back on track, use that as fuel to push even harder for the next few days. But don't allow it to get you into the cycle and the habit of restarting every single Monday, because that just isn't ever going to help. You know, if you're constantly writing off days and weeks at a time because you've done one thing wrong, Mondays are going to feel long. There's going to feel like there's an awful lot of them, and they're certainly not going to move the needle in the right direction. So the much better response to have is just, as I say, get angry, allow it to sit with you that the feeling isn't a nice one, but then use that as the drive and the focus, the energy, the motivation to just get right back on things as soon as you possibly can and drive you forward to achieve great things. Like that's where the difference gets made. So break the cycle. Don't let the I'll just start again on Monday kick in. And it's also why, like, don't wait until Monday to reach out and ask for help. You know, like, do it now. Do it on a Wednesday, on a Friday, on a Saturday. Like, do it on a different day, because all of these things, they might sound silly, they might sound little, but if you start almost doing everything on a Monday, everything becomes new again on a Monday, and subconsciously that's creating that cycle. Start something new on a Wednesday, a Friday, a Saturday, a Sunday, like whatever it might be. My training week, if you like, starts on a Thursday, and you know that for years and years I couldn't even comprehend that in my head, because you know I'm very routine, and I'm like, right, Monday, this is the start of my training week, this is how my week's going to go. My training week starts on a Thursday now, because Monday doesn't really matter. It doesn't mean anything. And actually, by shifting my focus, it changes the way that I look at my week. It changes the way that I look at my days. And all of these things do really, really make a big difference. So yeah, instead of waiting until Monday, instead of restarting Monday, make the decision today. Whatever that decision might be, whether it's to reach out and ask for help, whether it's to start a piece of work, whether it's to get on track with your fitness goals, like whatever that thing is, don't leave it till Monday. Start it right now, feel much better for it, and start patterning, breaking the cycle of restarting every Monday. Any questions at all, as always, please do give me a shout. You can find me on any of my socials at Ben Howard Fitness. You can email me, ben@benhowardfitness.com. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that amazing stuff, and I will keep the good content coming. Cheers, guys.